The film begins in a remote area of Egypt. A family is traveling in a car along a deserted road. The wife is driving, the husband is in the front seat, and their 3 children are in the back seat. The husband and his children are enjoying themselves by playing music on the car's music system. But the wife doesn't like it. She angrily turns off the music and says, "I have a terrible headache. I can't play music right now." They continue their journey and arrive at an old, deserted ancestral home in the middle of a large field. The house was the woman's ancestral property. You can tell by looking at it that no one has lived there for a long time. They stop the car and go inside with their belongings. Layla, the youngest of their 3 children, is walking around the house, looking at various things. At that moment, Layla sees a baby parrot lying on the ground with an injury. She quickly calls her mother and shows her what it is. But as soon as she saw the parrot, her mother panicked and said, "All the children, go upstairs. No one should stay here." After all the children went upstairs, Layla's mother took the baby parrot in her arms and strangled it to death without any mercy. Then she and her husband went to a very secret room in the house. Inside was a small black pyramid. The husband stood there in great fear. There was another secret door there. Opening that door, they entered the underground basement of the house. When they arrived there, they saw an old, ancient tomb. Fear filled both of them. The husband asked his wife, "Is it time for that? Should we open it now?" The wife replied, "I'm not completely sure, but let's take a look." Immediately, the husband grabbed a large iron lever that was there and started turning it. At the same time, the large lid on the top of the tomb, made of stone, slowly began to rise. When the lid was completely removed, the woman lit a candle and looked inside. Inside was a corpse wrapped in bandages like a mummy. As they watched in horror, the husband asked, "Has anything changed?" Suddenly, they felt a figure coming towards them from inside the coffin. The candle fell from their frightened hands and went out, and there was complete darkness. They quickly lit the candle again. When they looked at the coffin again, there was nothing wrong with it. The body was lying motionless. "It's nothing wrong, we were just scared," the woman said. And before she could finish saying it, the mummy, it was a terrible demon, suddenly stood up from inside the coffin. As soon as the demon came out, it took the woman's husband's neck to the hook of a large iron chain hanging there and pulled it with a great force. He was so cruel that he died hanging from that hook. The wife was unable to save her husband. She watched the tragic scene, trembling with fear. The next scene shows another family that has come to Cairo, Egypt. The head of the American family, Charlie, is a prominent investigative TV journalist. Charlie came here with his wife Larissa and their children as part of a job to report on some important matters. Charlie has 2 children, the eldest, Katie, and the youngest, Sebastian. One day, Charlie was watching a program on TV with his children. Then he went to his wife Larissa and asked, "Larissa, if I ask you something, you have to tell the truth. Do you enjoy watching this action of moving your arms and legs while I speak on this program? Will the audience like it?" Larissa, without hesitation, said as if she was slapping him in the face, "It's not fun. The audience will feel great irritation when they see it. It's better to change it." Then she announced another piece of good news. "You are going to be a father for the 3rd time. I am pregnant." Charlie was very happy to hear this. While they were both sharing that happiness, they heard the sound of their 2 children fighting loudly outside. When they quickly came out of the room, they were both lying on the floor and rolling around. When they inquired about the matter, they were fighting because Sebastian, one of Katie's favorite dolls, had broken. Charlie consoled his daughter. "Don't cry, Mom. I'll buy you a new one, or I'll fix this one." But Katie remained silent and sullen. Meanwhile, Katie asked her mother, "Does Mommy really love me or Sebastian?" Larissa kissed both of them and said, "I love you both like my 2 eyes. I love you both equally." Then Charlie took the doll, fixed it with some nice stickers, and gave it to Katie. But Katie said angrily, "Dad, because he did this. Dad only said bad things about him. If I had done this, he would have beaten me. This is obvious partiality." She got angry and went straight to the garden of the house and started playing alone. A part of the garden fence was slightly broken. At that moment, a strange woman walked towards it. It was the same woman we saw at the beginning of the film. From now on, we will call her the witch. Standing by the fence, the witch called Katie. "Mole, come here, Auntie. I will show you something." "Do you know who Auntie is?" "I am the mother of Layla, who always comes to you." A girl named Layla used to come to see Katie from time to time and give her chocolates. Therefore, Katie and Layla were on good terms. When the witch renewed their acquaintance, Katie asked, "No, so Layla is not coming today?" "She will come, my dear. You come here for a while, Auntie. I will give you something," said the witch. At this time, while Charlie was talking to someone on the phone inside the house, he unexpectedly looked at Katie's shelf and saw it full of chocolate wrappers. He asked his wife, "Did you buy all this chocolate?" Laris said, "Hey, I didn't buy it." When they asked Sebastian, he said, "It was given to me by Katie's friend Layla." Hearing this, Charlie sensed something was wrong. "Where is Katie? Call her quickly," he said and ran into the garden. At that time, the witch outside was giving Katie an apple instead of chocolate. Although she was hesitant at first, when the witch insisted, "This tastes good, try it," Katie bought it. As soon as Katie bought the apple, the witch began to chant some spells. Suddenly, a black beetle came out of the apple and crawled through Katie's body and into her mouth. The beetle got stuck in her throat, causing Katie to fall unconscious. When Charlie reached the garden, Katie was nowhere to be found. Instead, there was only the doll she was playing with and a half-broken apple. Seeing the garden fence broken, Charlie ran out without looking. He was sure that someone had kidnapped his daughter. He asked everyone in the area, but no one had seen Katie. But when he reached a small street nearby, Charlie saw a strange woman carrying Katie. "That's my daughter! Stop there!" Charlie ran after them, shouting. But suddenly there was a terrible dust storm. The wind was so strong that he could not see anything ahead. Charlie was stuck there, unable to find his way. After a while, the sandstorm cleared, but the woman and Katie had disappeared from there. He had no idea where the witch had gone with her daughter. Charlie immediately went to the police station and filed a complaint. There was a female officer named Dahlia Zak who knew English. Dahlia translated what Charlie had said into Arabic for the police there. The officer told Charlie, "About 200 children have gone missing from here in the last few days. Tell me in detail what happened." Charlie showed them what he knew and the chocolate wrappers he found in Katie's room. But when he heard this, the chief officer there said, "I think you are lying. You brought your own daughter here and killed her. Are you just playing a game?" Hearing this, Charlie became very angry and attacked them. However, the investigation went nowhere and the child was not found. Days and months passed. 8 years passed. Charlie and Larissa, tired of life in Cairo, took their son and returned to America. Although they tried to be active in their work as before, they could not forget their daughter. Charlie always kept a photo of Katie in his car. Laris, on the other hand, kept a doll and other things that reminded her of Katie in a room and kept that room as beautifully maintained as Katie had been. Meanwhile, an 8-year-old girl ran into that room. It was none other than Laris, who was pregnant with Katie when Katie went missing, and that was the baby. Her name was Maud. Maud came and said to Laris, "Mom, can you help me with my homework?" Laris locked the room and went to help Maud. That night, they all sat down to eat together. Charlie's mother, the children's grandmother, also lives with them now. Sebastian, who is now a grown-up boy, asked during the meal, "Mom, Dad, my friends are going on a vacation to Europe. Can I go too?" But they refused. Then Sebastian said angrily, "Is it enough to keep me locked up with you like this forever, saying that Katie is missing? Don't I have to live my life as I please?" He got up from there without even eating. Here the scene shifts to Egypt again. A boy is riding his bicycle when his chain comes off. While he is repairing it, a crashed plane, flight, is slowly descending behind him. He does not know it. But when it hits the ground with a loud explosion, he is shocked. He runs towards the place where he heard the sound and sees the crashed plane and 2 people who have fallen from it and are brutally killed. As he tries to run away from there, he sees a strange coffin standing upright on the ground. He informs the locals. Immediately, the police and archaeologists arrive at the spot and remove the coffin from there. The researchers carefully examine the coffin and open it. Inside was a mummy covered in bandages. A lady officer and her senior began to examine the mummy in detail. While we were looking at how old it was and what era it was from, the mummy's mouth suddenly opened and a beetle came out of it. Immediately after that, the mummy started screaming in a terrifying manner. The scene cuts to that point. A few days later, Charlie and his family in the United States were out for a meal. At that moment, Charlie received a phone call from Egypt. Charlie was shocked, unable to believe what he had heard on the phone. When Laris inquired about the matter, he said, "Our daughter Katie is not dead. She has returned. We have been told to come to Egypt as soon as possible." Unable to contain her joy and sadness, Laris cried and finally collapsed. Sebastian and Maud, who were in the car, did not understand what was happening. Charlie and Laris immediately boarded a flight and arrived at the hospital in Egypt. The doctor there explained to them, "Your daughter has been locked in a box for the past 8 years. Her entire body was wrapped in bandages. She has severe skin problems, which are made worse by sunlight. Her mental state is also unstable, and she sometimes becomes violent. So when she regains consciousness, we give her medication to calm her down. When you approach her, be calm and don't overreact." They went to see their daughter 8 years later, but they were shocked to see Katie's current appearance. Her skin color had changed, her nails had grown long, and her hair had become tangled, making her look frightening. Katie was the one in the coffin that was found in the plane crash. When asked about the wounds on her body, the doctor said that she had been scratched by her own nails while lying in the box for so many years. Charlie and Larissa hugged their daughter, crying, "Don't be afraid, my dear. Mom and Dad are with you." But she kept quiet and made strange noises. Doctors said she was in a big trauma and needed the love of her family to get over it. They went to the police station to complete the formalities for their daughter's discharge. The old officer, Dahlia Zach, was still there. Dahlia said, "They tried to smuggle her in a box. I don't know who was behind this. Such incidents have happened here before. Anyway, the plane crashed, but your daughter was lucky to survive. You should take her home with you." At home in America, Grandma and Maud were waiting to receive Katie. Grandma had made a cake for her. Charlie and Larissa came home with Katie, but everyone was a little surprised to see Katie's terrifying appearance. She was put in a wheelchair and carried upstairs to the room with difficulty. Sebastian felt a little scared when he saw her appearance, but Maud innocently went up to her and said, "Sister, I am your sister. I am as old as you were when you went missing." Grandma also came over and hugged her lovingly and thanked God. Then, as she was about to kiss her forehead, Katie suddenly violently hit her grandmother's nose with her head. After that, as if something had entered her body, she slowly began to rise from the bed into the air. No one could hold her down. Larissa quickly ran over and injected the sedative the doctor had given her. Then she calmed down and fell asleep. The family realized that it was not the old Katie who had come to their house. That night, Maud was afraid to sleep alone, so she went to Sebastian's room and slept with him. At this time, Charlie was awake, examining the files and photos that Dahlia had given him from Egypt. There were some ancient scripts and symbols in them. Laris tried to bring back memories by showing her old photos of her while lying next to Katie, but Katie turned around. Slowly, Laris also fell asleep. Sebastian and Maud were startled awake in the middle of the night by a strange noise. They informed Charlie about the news. When Charlie opened the room upstairs, only Laris was there, and Katie was nowhere to be seen. They started searching the whole house. At that time, Sebastian heard a sound from behind the wall. Since it was an old house, there was a small gap between the walls for storage. When Charlie opened the small door, he looked inside and saw Katie sitting in the pitch darkness. She wasn't just sitting there, she was catching a large centipede and eating it alive. They quickly pulled her out and tried to remove the insect from her mouth. At that time, she vomited a terrible-smelling green liquid onto the ground. Seeing this, the children were completely scared. The next morning, when Charlie took the car to the gate to take the children to school, he saw a few wolves standing there. Since wolves usually don't come there, Charlie got out of the car and chased them away. During the journey, Sebastian asked, "Dad, what happened to your sister? Why is she acting like this?" Charlie said, "To be honest, I don't know either, son. Let's see." At home, Grandma and Larissa were cleaning Katie's body. When she combed her hair, it fell out in droves. Larissa started cutting her nails. At this time, Charlie, who has come home, is locking all the small doors on the side of the wall so that she cannot go through them anymore. At this time, Charlie notices something, a bad smell and blood coming from under the carpet in his room. When he quickly goes and lifts the carpet, he is shocked to see something. The entire bottom of the carpet is covered in blood like glue, and it smells bad. Seeing this, he feels terribly disgusting. At the same time, Laris is cutting Katie's nails. The nail on her thumb is very hard. When she cuts it with great force, the nail and the skin above it are peeling off in one fell swoop. Seeing the peeling skin, she is completely shocked and falls to the ground and starts crying. Hearing that crying, Charlie runs over there and asks, "What's wrong?" When Laris is telling her things. At the same time, Katie was nowhere to be seen. She had gotten up and run away somewhere. When Charlie quickly went to look, he saw her sitting in one part of the house, catching and eating an insect. But as soon as he saw Charlie, she got up and ran away again. Later, when Charlie went to look, she had taken a wire from the other room and was doing something to her own body. That is, she was putting this wire in her cut leg and piercing it with meat and eating it like that. Seeing this, Charlie was scared and fell to the ground. This is not normal. They quickly brought the medicine and injected it into her body, calmed her down, and brought her to the room and put her to bed. After Charlie did not move for a while, he said to Larissa, "Laris, this is not right. If we keep Katie here, we can't do it anymore. We have to find another place for her, and we have to give her someone else to look after." But hearing this, Laris gets very angry. "Charlie, what are you saying? We've been waiting for her to come back for so long, and now she's become a nuisance to you? I've been living apart from my daughter for the past 8 years without her." When Laris leaves in a very angry state, Charlie follows her. "Laris, I didn't mean it that way. You understand what I'm saying?" But the two of them argue for a while, and Charlie himself apologizes, saying, "No, she'll stay here. We'll take care of her." Then Laris goes straight to Katie and sits down and says, "Molly, how long has it been? Talk to your mother, my dear." When she goes to her, Katie comes as if she wants to say something, but now she spits in Laris's face in a bad way. Laris is shocked, but she doesn't hate her daughter. That's the reason for that. Meanwhile, Charlie was about to put away the wheelchair that Katie was sitting in, and he noticed something. The skin that had peeled off her leg was still there. When he picked it up, he was shocked to see that there were some things written on the skin in old script. Charlie quickly went straight to the basement with the piece of skin and tried to read what was written on it with a small lens. But he couldn't. Since the skin was made up of many layers, he was slowly peeling off each layer. Each one had different writing. It was some ancient Egyptian script. Here the scene cuts to the next scene, showing a professor who knows a lot about these ancient scripts, expeditions, and the old stories of Egypt. He was teaching a class, and there were a lot of people in that class. Charlie was among them. After the class, when everyone is left, Charlie goes straight to the professor and says, "Professor, can you help me? I have some old photos, and there is something written on them. Can you read them?" Charlie shows the professor the photo of the skin he took. The professor is shocked when he sees it. "Where did you get this? It's thousands of years old. If you ask me what this writing is, I can't tell you right away. You need to give me some time." So the professor goes to study it with the photo. At night, Charlie is sitting next to his daughter. She is not talking. She is looking at Charlie's face and gritting her teeth. Charlie has been listening to it for a while. It was only later that Charlie realized that she was not just gritting her teeth, she was trying to talk to Charlie. She is talking through a Morse code, which Charlie taught her when she was young. But now, Charlie does not understand what she is saying through gritting her teeth. So he quickly goes and gets the box where Katie's old things are kept. There was a book in it, and the Morse code that she shows is written on it. So he writes down the letters she said with the speed and space that she is gritting her teeth. Katie is trying to say to Charlie, "Layla, Layla." Charlie quickly calls Dahlia. Charlie tells Dahlia this. "My daughter spoke a little, and she said her name was Layla. You should try to find out that way anyway." Similarly, after Katie disappeared, many letters have been sent to her, all of which have been put in a box. Now Charlie is going to go through all of those letters. Meanwhile, Maud, who is returning from the bathroom, is listening to a song when she reaches Katie's room. Hearing that, Maud slowly walks towards the room and asks, "Sister, is that you singing this song?" At that time, Katie replies from inside, "Yes, I'm the one singing the song, but you don't tell anyone about this, you hear?" Maud says no. "How about we talk for a while?" Katie asks, and Maud says, "Okay." So while the two of them are talking for a while, Katie's voice changes. Katie says, "Maud, I feel like eating you. How would you taste?" Saying this, Katie sticks her tongue out through the small space under the door and licks Maud's leg to taste her. Maud, frightened by this, ran away. But after a certain point, she could not go any further. It was as if some invisible force was holding her, and that force lifted her into the air. Meanwhile, while checking the many letters that had arrived since Katie's disappearance, Charlie saw a letter written by a name, Layla Khalid. Charlie quickly called Dahlia and asked her to check if there was anyone called Layla Khalid. Dahlia checked it and found someone with that name and their address. It was the old house in the middle of the field. The professor is calling Charlie the next day. The professor had learned some things from that writing, and he was telling Charlie, "This script is much older than I thought. Those writings talk about an old demon whose name is Nesmerian. What makes this demon special is that once it comes to a family, it will completely destroy that family. Or once it comes to an area, it will completely destroy that area. There was even a special cult group to worship and maintain this demon. But some people would perform another ritual to prevent it and eliminate its power. That is, they would capture a human and write and paste certain special spells on that human's body. And this demon would reside inside that human. And with that, the demon's power would disappear. Later, if those writings were torn off from that human body, the demon would regain its power as before, and he would continue his chaos again. But these are just myths. Don't old myths say things like that?" When the professor told him this, Charlie realized that it was not a story. Because if you look at what is happening in his house and what he has been experiencing for the past few days, everything that is said in that story is true. The scene cuts to Maud at school. There seem to be some differences in her expression. Maud is talking very rudely to the teacher who asked her something. She doesn't usually talk like that, so even the teacher is shocked to hear this. At the same time, Katie is shown, she is laughing in a special way. That is, Katie has started to control Maud. Meanwhile, Dahlia has found that address of Layla in Egypt and has come there, that old house in the middle of the field. But when Dahlia arrived, no one was there. She is slowly going inside the house. There were many strange things there. So when she goes to the basement, Dahlia sees that strange pyramid, and she is very surprised to see all this. At this time, a chain is also seen below. When I slowly pull the chain, it is the handle of a door below. When I pull it, the door opens. So through it, Dahlia goes to the basement of that room, where the coffin and all the things were kept at that time. Meanwhile, the witch has gone to town and is returning. After this, he shows Dahlia again. Dahlia, who is scared inside, quickly comes out and calls a backup team here, probably realizing that it is not something that can be dealt with alone. But at this time, the witch suddenly comes there. Dahlia, who is a little scared when she sees them, tells them to stay there without moving, with a gun in her hand. But without hearing this, the witch takes out a knife and runs to stab Dahlia. Dahlia doesn't look at anything, she shoots them dead. Dahlia had no other choice. When she looks outside, this witch's daughter Layla is outside. Layla is running away from there in fear as soon as she sees Dahlia, and Dahlia is also following her with a gun. At one point, when she says, "If you don't stop, I will shoot you," Layla suddenly goes and sits in a place and starts digging in the dirt. Although she tells her to surrender politely, by then, Layla has picked up a box from the ground and is showing it to her. Dahlia, who slowly and carefully came there, took the box and opened it, and when she opened it, there was an old cassette inside. Katie was written on the outside. Layla had come all the way here to show her this. The scene cuts to Maud returning from school, sitting in the back seat of the car. But just like she had said something to the teacher earlier from school, she is speaking very badly to her father and brother and is making gestures with her hands. They are completely shocked to see Maud's behavior. Meanwhile, when Laris looks at the house, she sees that out of the many letters that Katie has received, Charlie has taken one letter. It was sent by a girl named Layla, and there is something written inside it. Along with it, a photo of chocolate has been drawn on it. Seeing this, Laris is completely shocked. At this time, Grandma goes to Katie, gives her medicine and things, and prays with her for a while, saying, "My child will not get sick." Just as she is about to take the bead necklace and put it on her body, Katie suddenly jumps up, bites Grandma's hand, and kicks Grandma down. Then she comes to Grandma and says, "Dad, you are going to die today." She pushes the shocked Grandma away and tries to get out, but the door locks itself. Katie slowly starts to float in the air. When Grandma, terrified, tries to take the bead necklace, the necklace itself starts to tighten around her neck. At the same time, some force comes and picks up Grandma and throws her out the window. The window breaks and Grandma falls straight in front of Charlie's car. Later, many wolves rush to Grandma, who has fallen down, and start biting and tearing her apart. Hearing the sound, Larissa also runs to Katie's room. Later, when she looks down, she sees her grandmother lying on the ground, being torn apart by wolves. But Katie is lying very calmly. Everyone is completely shocked, except for one, our Maud, who is sitting in the car, smiling in a special way. Meanwhile, in Egypt, our Dahlia plays the cassette she received and sees a video recorded by the sorcerer. Dahlia is now listening to what the sorcerer is saying through the video. This time we are going to do it. This ceremony is going to be performed on the body of a child, so we will have a few more days without this demon bothering us. That time is very valuable to us. She is saying the same things that Professor Charlie told her. After hearing all this, Dahlia goes straight to Layla and asks her to tell the whole truth. But suddenly, Layla opens her mouth and shows that she has no tongue in her mouth. She cut off her own tongue because she realized that everything her mother was doing was wrong and went to tell the police. Anyway, she didn't stop to hide anything. She wrote down everything she knew on a piece of paper. 8 years ago, my mother kidnapped a girl named Katie. Then my mother performed a ritual on her body, put a demon inside her, and locked her in that box. Later, the accident happened while the coffin was being moved from here to another place on a flight so that the demon wouldn't come out for any reason. My brothers were in it, and they both died. The scene cuts to Charlie's house in the next scene. Grandma's funeral and other things are going on. Some of Grandma's relatives and friends have all come there. But they don't tell anyone what Katie's condition is. Charlie locks her in that room and keeps watch outside. Sebastian comes there and says, "Dad, Mom is calling. Can you go there? I'll sit here." After this, Sebastian sits there and Charlie goes straight to Larry. But at this time, some sounds are heard from the room. Sebastian is completely scared and has put a headset on his ears and is listening to the song. But after that and beyond that song, he is in a bad state after hearing this sound. After this, Charlie and Larry are shown. Larry is saying to Charlie, "Charlie, it seems that the work has been done well, like you said then, let's move Katie out of here." Meanwhile, Maud, who was downstairs, is shaking her teeth. Then she pulls out the dentures from her grandmother's mouth and puts them in her own mouth. Then she shows them this and scares the rest of the people. At this time, Katie starts to tear down the bottom of her room, which must be the roof of the first floor. So she slowly comes down through the hole and jumps down to the coffin where Grandma is lying. She bites Grandma's neck and tries to eat it. This is what Larissa, who came running there after hearing all this noise and commotion, sees. She runs up and pushes the coffin down. Grandma's body has fallen down, and a special kind of liquid is coming out of the wound in Katie's neck, and Katie is licking and drinking it. Seeing this, the people who have come there are starting to sneeze, and they are even sneeze into the food they are eating without knowing it. The whole event that day is going to be a nightmare, and everyone is really scared. That night, Dahlia comes to see them. She had that cassette in her hand, and she shows it to them. They see the cruel things that this witch and her friends are doing to their daughter Katie, who was kidnapped that day, through that video. Katie is tied up in a place. They are going to do some rituals on her body, and they are going to put her in a box. All that time, Katie was scared and crying, "I want to go to my mother. I want to see my father." Seeing all this, Charlie and Larissa's chests collapsed, and they both sat down and started crying. There are many bandages wrapped around her body, and then the demon that was inside that dried-up mummy comes straight inside Katie. They see all this through that video. Later, they wrap Katie in those bandages and keep her in that box. That is, they put that demon inside this child and keep her there. At the end of that video, the witch says one more thing. This bandage must be on her body. The spells in it are what are keeping that demon in. Charlie and Larissa are crying after seeing all this. At this time, Katie is controlling Sebastian, who was standing there to look at Katie. Then Katie is telling him, "Come to me slowly and take off these bandages one by one." Sebastian, who is under her control, slowly goes and starts taking off the bandages one by one, all of which are spells. When it is completely undone, the demon Nesmerian will return to its full power. Anyway, after watching the video from downstairs, Laris says, I want to see my daughter now, and goes straight upstairs. But the room where Katie is locked cannot be opened now. Dahlia also goes upstairs to help her after hearing Laris's voice. At this time, something else is happening outside. A huge dust storm is heading towards their house. Charlie, who is shocked to see this, is also shocked to see something else. That is, Charlie's dead mother is standing up in a bloody manner. Charlie is now running straight upstairs. At this time, the door that Dahlia and Laris were trying to open suddenly opens, and by then the demon inside Katie had come to its full power. It ran and jumped straight at Charlie's body that had come up here, grabbed him, and gave it a bite. At this time, Dahlia and Laris are trying to grab Katie, but she hits her once, causing Dahlia to fall down. After this, she comes back to Charlie and starts to hurt Charlie. Realizing that there is no other way but to put her to sleep, Laris quickly goes and takes the medicine and tries to inject it into Katie's body. But it is Katie who is controlling Sebastian, who takes a large baseball bat that was there and hits Laris once, causing her to fall down. When Laris, who was scared, tries to run away, Sebastian is behind her with the bat. When Dahlia, who was lying on the ground, opened her eyes and saw her dead grandmother standing there, holding her neck and squeezing it. At this time, Charlie was running everywhere to escape from Katie's hands. Maud was locked in that room, and she was screaming because she couldn't get out. A scorpion came out of Dahlia's grandmother's mouth, who was holding Dahlia's neck, and it went straight into Dahlia's mouth. But before it could go inside her body, she somehow managed to pull it out by putting her hand on her palate, and the throat was completely cut. At the same time, Laris was injecting Sebastian, who was following her, into his body and knocking him unconscious. On the other side, Katie was following Charlie, and when he entered a room to escape from her, Dahlia was in that room. Suddenly, Charlie has an idea and says to Dahlia, "You know that mantra, haven't you heard it many times on that cassette? Do one thing, I'll hold my daughter, and at that time you have to chant that mantra. I have to save my daughter, there is no other way." So Katie pushes the door open and jumps in. But as soon as she gets there, Charlie runs and holds her. At this time, Dahlia is chanting that mantra. Although she can't chant it because of the big wound in her neck, she is holding it and chanting the mantra. At the same time, the demon inside Katie is going straight into Charlie. Before she loses consciousness, Charlie is holding his daughter Katie's hand. That is, in the peace of mind that she can save her daughter. Soon after, Charlie is locked in the box, and there is no other way out. Since the demon has left, Katie has become the same as before, and she can recognize her mother, brothers, and sister. But their father, Charlie, is still in the box, and every now and then you can hear the sound of knocking on the box. It is not just knocking, Charlie is talking to them from inside the box through Morse code. Katie, who knows it well, understands it and tells Larissa. Although she was able to save her children, her husband is now in the hands of the demon in that box. Charlie is lying in that box and is going through hell. Although her children have been saved, Larissa is unable to fully experience that joy. And so, a few days go by. One day, someone calls Larissa from Egypt, and it is none other than Dahlia Zach. She says something, and Larissa is terribly happy to hear it. That is, when Dahlia went to the witch's house to check, they suddenly shot her when they arrived. We all thought that the witch was dead, but she was not dead. She has now recovered after receiving all the treatment, and is now in a mental hospital. Laris is coming to the mental hospital to see the witch, and there is another person with Laris, her husband Charlie. She has wrapped that bandage with those spells, and now the demon inside him is being held back. Now you have to put that demon inside her mouth. Haven't you tortured my daughter for so long? You should know how much pain and suffering it is. Now that demon is going to lie inside you. Later, the door of the room in the mental hospital is closed, and Laris performs the ceremony inside it. The film ends here, showing her saving her husband by sending the demon Nesmerian inside the sorcerer.